Morning, guys. Hi. Just popping in to say hello, and I hope you're all okay. Note the autumn hair colour. The fall is on the way, isn't it? So let's talk teeth. To toothy or not to toothy? This is the question. I'll show you something, okay? This was my option that I had because I had a bridge on this side, which is really good. I had that done on the NHS. And we've started work on having a tooth implant on this side of my mouth. So there is a gap there. Hope you can see that. But before I went into this, the only option I had or could afford was sexy, aren't they? Not. But anyway, these were really good until I could look at other things of having. But what I couldn't get on with is with these dentures is the actual bridge, and it goes up into the top of your mouth, obviously. But it used to make me feel like I was gagging with it, but I got used to it eventually, and they work. They're really, really good. And of course, you have to. They're like stars. You have to take them out at night and put them in a little wee pot like this that you remember your granny having, maybe. And you put like you can put a blob of toothpaste in with it to clean it overnight, or like a Sterident. But these work really well in all fairness, and these cost £250 from my NHS dentist. So basically it's your tooth on one side and the bridge over this, which goes into the top roof of your mouth there, and your tooth is there. So that's my gorgeous sexy set. Anyway, not very sexy, am I? So anyway, moving on from that, what I did was I got in touch with an NHS dentist that also did private work. We went over to St John's in Worcester, and we went in and we had x-rays done, because first of all they want to make sure your gum is strong enough to withhold the implant, so there's enough bone to go into for when they drill through. So you go for a review appointment first. So we went to St John's in Worcester, and they took x-rays for us. So you pay for the x-ray. You then go back for a second appointment after that. So you're talking maybe another couple of weeks later, and they look at your bone structure and they decide if it's actually strong enough and if you want to go forward for it, which Andy and I, my husband, both did, because we actually wanted to not have to take our teeth out at night time. And your smile says a lot about you, I think, doesn't it? People put their health needs into other things maybe, but this was important to us, so we decided to go forward for it. Now, it's not cheap, I will tell you, it's not cheap, and the whole putting in putting in a tooth implant in actually takes longer than what you think it is, because first of all they have to clear the area, make sure that it's clear. Once they've said yes, it's okay to go ahead. If you have any bits of old tooth or anything like that, you have to have that taken out, and then you have to wait for that site to heal. So there's an added time loop on that. So to actually get the site ready to have the implant in can take up to how long did it take us? It can take up to 3 or 4 weeks for that to heal. You then go back to the dentist again, and what they do is they check the site is healthy. They also look and double check that you've got the gum strength, and the bone is big enough to withhold the tooth in, basically, because they drill into the top of your mouth and they put it's like, I'll call it a screw, that is probably a proper word for it somewhere. So anyway, on the third appointment you go back and they check the site, and then what they do is they make you go in, you sit down, basically they say, are you ready, are you happy, and they explain clearly the protocol and the procedure that they're going to go through with you. For each site, or they will look at and see how many tooth implants you actually do need. You can actually, what I'm having is one implant with 2 teeth on. And that was something I didn't know you could have done, and that's quite interesting, isn't it? So I had one hole made in my gum. They give you about four. I really feel pain being a redhead. I think we're more sensitive to pain. So I had 4 injections in my mouth. It was uncomfortable, and then they sort of drill in, is the only way I can explain it. They drill in and make the hole. Then they put the poster in, which they pop in for you. And then they make sure it's all okay and stitch up round your gum. So just getting a breath there because I'm just thinking, ooh. I'm not a fan of the dentist, but that dentist is absolutely fantastic, and you don't feel anything. The only thing you feel, to be honest, is the injection, the first injection, which is uncomfortable. But the whole appointment to put the first post in for me took about 45 minutes. And you walk in, walk out after, and they give you some Corsadel to wash your mouth out, a little go home pack with some Corsadel and a sheet to the do's and don'ts of how to look after your mouth. Okay, so from that point, having had that, you've then got to obviously wait for your gum to reheal over the point of where they've put the first virgin post in. Okay, so that actually takes 3 months. So now you're almost up to 4 months up from going from your first appointment to the point of getting the virgin post in, which is basically holds the gum, makes the hole, and keeps the gum for when you have the next stage in. So that's up to the 3-month mark. You make an appointment for 3 months' time, and you go back and they check that the site is healthy and that the gum has healed and it's strong. And if the dentist is happy, he will then, you go back in and you have to have the site reopened basically to get the virgin post out. And again, you have 2 or 3 injections depending on your pain level, and he will pull out the virgin post. And that's, oh sorry, I must go back to that bit. Sorry, I missed a bit. It's you have the injections, and then what they do is they use like a cauterizer, and they cauterize the gum to reopen the site area of where the post is underneath, and they cauterize it, and at the same time as cutting out, it basically fixes the gum with the heat. It cauterizes it so it stops it bleeding. So they then take out the virgin post, and put in the new post, and that's that bit done. And if they're happy with how it's healed over with the cauterizer, they will then do a impression with a mold. Oh, that feels really strange. And they do a bottom and a top mold. That doesn't take very long, but all in all, I'll call that the second appointment, because you're actually physically doing something for the tooth implant. That takes literally 35, 40 minutes again, and it's not a big deal. It's just I think it's the thought of it. You sort of think, ooh, that's a bit scary, but it's actually quite an easy process. And the second, after you've had that done, the second part of that, it's you can just go back to normal, really. You can just carry on eating and drinking everything. And then, of course, after you've had that done, you have to come back for where they, oh sorry, and then what they do is, after they've done the gum templates, they then get the tooth. Yay, 4 months later, they get the tooth and they match it to the colour of your tooth enamel, and they make sure it's a really good match wherever you're having it. my husband actually had two on one side and two on the other, so yeah, so they are really good, and the dental nurse who is in with them will also sort of say, oh, because she said to the dentist, oh, I think it's just one shade down for my husband. So they are really, really, really good, and make sure it looks really natural is the way to word it. So after all that, so we go and make another appointment for actually having the tooth put on, and mine is on November the 11th, I think. So I will give you an update, and I will show you the finished article. So in all, really, I mean, you're looking at, I thought it'd be a really quick process, like people say, oh, go off to Turkey and have it done in, all in one day. But I think you've got to be a bit careful with sort of trying to cut corners, because in the UK you can always come back and check if anything's not right, and you've got the backup of the dental association and things like that. So it's always good to do things like that properly, I think, medically. Anyway, look, mm, mm, that's my gap. And as soon as I have had it done, I will come back and I will share with you the outcome of it. So it's exciting. It's been a long, long haul. It's been like 5 months, I think, really. But for the long-term health of my mouth and not having to take out teeth at night time, which isn't exactly the most hygienic thing to do, but the longevity of actually having a tooth implant and a post is that down the line, if you lose any more teeth, you can adapt and change that and add more teeth if you need to. Anyway, from me and my lovely, 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 lovely bridge, or whatever you call it, I can't remember. Anyway, dentures, goodbye. Bye.